Hey, hold on a minute. Ah!
Where'd you go?
Sib, I'm in the upside down. There's a demogorgons. Help!
Them damn demogorgons.
Them damn demodogs. Doug Demodog, home of the Dimsdale Demodog. Welcome to Sib Gib. There's been a little bit of a revenue change. I'm Sib, that's Gib, that's a lie. I'm Gib, that's Sib. What is up?
No, I'm Sib, that's Gib.
Well, welcome to Sib Gib. I'm going to stop the music here. So here we go. We're going to go ahead and get into this. Welcome on down. Today, I made a reference to what our show's going to be about today. That's Stranger Things. But before we get into that, Sib, how have you been this week?
Gib, I've had a pretty good week. I got blackout at a concert last night, so I'm just still trying to recover.
I bet
Other
you have
than
been just in so much pain all day.
Honestly, not so bad the pain. I've just been exhausted and my stomach hurts.
I know the pain. Chicken nuggets never help. Did you get McDonald's chicken nuggets?
Helped.
McDonald's chicken nuggets never help hangovers.
See, I didn't get that. I air fried my own chicken nuggets.
Those would help a lot. Those are good. Those are
pretty good.
Well, while you
How's
were
your
doing that,
week?
I stayed up late playing Phasmophobia and Final Fantasy XIV, and I woke up completely sober.
Again?
Yes. Woke up completely sober and went and celebrated the 4th of July on the 3rd of July with my family.
That sounds very wholesome.
I saw our cousins' babies that we haven't seen in years. One of them is taller than me.
Sadie's taller than you?
She's very tall.
There's no way she's taller
She
than
is
you.
super tall, dude. It was.
How old is she?
She's like in middle school or something. It was freaky.
What?
Last time we saw those
That's
kids, they
weird.
were like kids. It was weird.
Yeah.
But other than that, I've just been hanging out. We haven't done a Sib Gib in a while.
Yeah, it's been a
I've been
while.
out of town doing tours. You've been going to Bonnaroo and concerts.
Mhm.
That's the most American thing I've ever heard, other than KFC fried chicken donut sandwich, which sounds awesome, by the way. Whoa. But today, we're gonna go ahead and do a Stranger Things themed episode. Turn around, look at what you see. So Stranger Things, if you don't know, which you probably do, if you know about Sib Gib and not Stranger Things, you really have a weird taste in media. Weird taste in media. But Stranger Things is a Netflix exclusive show that we are both. It is my favorite real person show.
My favorite real person.
My favorite real person show, not anime. It is my favorite. It is so good.
It is my favorite Netflix exclusive show.
Yeah, it is. To me, every season gets better and better, with maybe the exception of 2 being a little worse than 1.
Yeah.
For me, it goes 2, 1, 3, 4 for me. It is. So, before we get into our topic, which is obviously going to be top 5 Stranger Things characters, in celebration of the Volume 2 just coming out on the 1st, we're recording this on the 3rd, getting the thoughts out of the air. Spoiler warning. We're going to do a recap of what we thought about Stranger Things Season 4, Volume 1 and 2. Spoiler warning, skip to wherever you see whiteboards pop up in the video if you don't want spoilers. Sib, what did you think?
I'm trying to decide if this is my favorite season. It's really a toss-up between 4 and 3 for me. Because there were certain storylines that I didn't like as well, but the storylines I did like were my favorites.
Okay.
Like, I loved the people who stayed in Hawkins. That storyline was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, with Steve and Dustin and all that. That was probably my favorite Stranger Things storyline. Wasn't driving as much with the Will, Mike, and Jonathan storyline. And I also did love the Hopper, Joyce in Russia.
Okay, so the Hopper storyline was my favorite part of the whole season. Because it had such a different level of threat to it. Like, I genuinely thought, how are they going to get out of this? I was like, how are they going to get through this? They are in a Russian military prison with the Demogorgons running around. How are they going to pull this off? And of course, Hopper is a badass and pulls it off just like he always did. That was my favorite part of the season. I think I share the same thoughts as you. the parts with Mike, Will, and everybody, it felt like they didn't do anything. It felt like they did
felt
nothing.
like they were just running around.
And even when they finally did get 11, which, by the way, it was clutch that they were there to get 11 right at the perfect time.
Mm-hmm.
But even when they got 11, his stoner friend, I don't remember the Argyle, he's the one who actually did something, because they were just like standing around, oh, what are we gonna do? And he's like, we can go to the pizza place to get some salt, man. So it's kind of like, okay, Mike, Will, Jonathan, care to chime in this season? Other than
like I feel like they were just kind of there. I do like the personal stuff going on with Will.
Yes,
I do enjoy that, and like the way that's being approached. I really like that. But other than that, yeah, it just felt very unimportant.
yes.
Like every time they would come on screen, I would be like, okay, I'm ready to get back to like things that are actually happening.
Well, it doesn't help because 2 of those 3 characters are some of my least favorite characters in the show. Jonathan and Mike. Not crazy about either one of them. I do like Will, and I did like Argyle. I thought he was really funny.
I even like Jonathan, and it still just felt, it just didn't feel like
they didn't do very good for his character this season, especially at the end when he's still lying about his college acceptance letter. That doesn't bode well.
I don't think they did him any justice. I do like the brother moments between him and Will, but that we didn't get until the last episode.
Yes, exactly. I think
so. I just wasn't crazy about it.
They're really setting up for Jonathan, for Jonathan, Steve, and Nancy to have that love triangle that sucks people in, because people will argue about who she should be with. That's what this season set up, because they're throwing Steve back into the fray. They're pulling Jonathan out. Because even at the end, the spark wasn't there. They didn't kiss on the lips once, I don't think, when they reunited. I observed that. Either. The spark's not there, and he's still lying to her. And Steve confessed all this stuff. They're setting up. I don't know if they're setting up for Steve and Nancy to get back together, but they're definitely setting up for there to be a wrench thrown in the gears. So,
and I don't know how I feel about that. I'm just not a big proponent of love triangles. I feel like they're just messy and a lot of times unnecessary. But I also feel like that's almost setting up for one of the 3 to die, probably one of the boys. Because think about the tragedy of a love triangle, and then you're saved for making the choice because one of them dies.
Yeah.
So you never actually know which one she chose.
That is true. I mean,
I also am not a huge Nancy fan.
Yeah.
She has her moments, but she also kind of gets on my nerves. So it's also, I know who I prefer as a character. That doesn't necessarily mean that's who I want her to end up with, because I don't like her as much.
I know that I do think Nancy's a badass, and she is super cool, but her personality, she has some weird questionable personality moments.
And that's the thing, is that I appreciate her as a character because I understand why people would like her. She's just not my kind of character.
And see, in season 2, when she got really mad at Steve and broke up with him and called him bullshit and blamed her and him for Barb's death, I didn't think that was fair to Steve, because Steve still at that time didn't fully understand what happened and what was going on, so it wasn't fair. And he even got thrown into that unexpectedly at the end of season 1, and still didn't run and stayed to help her. And I just think, Steve's grown a lot as a character, and she has treated him absolutely horribly every step of the way.
Yeah.
So, other than that, before we get into the list, though, there's a big controversy about the end of the season and who would die. And we did get some stuff. So, big spoiler warning. How did you feel about them killing off Eddie?
I saw it coming.
I think a lot of people did.
I feel like a lot of people suspected either him or Steve were going to die at the end of this season. And I kind of saw it being Eddie just because there was nothing for him to go back to.
Yeah.
The whole town thought it was him. And there was no way he could just come back to Hawkins and be like, I didn't do it. It was this. So, I kind of saw it coming. I like the way they did it, though. I like that he didn't die a coward, or he purposely didn't run.
They really did him
and
justice.
It was, and as a character, I wasn't gonna cry when he died, even though I did really like him. But Dustin being with him had me tearing up.
Yeah,
because
They
Gabe
were
Matarazzo did such a good job of the acting, like, in
the
that
actors
scene.
in this show have just grown into such like artisans. They're so
Yeah.
good. Now, the fake out death kind of. I'm not sure if her fate ended up being better than dying or not,
I know.
but Max,
That destroyed me.
I felt like I was watching a family member die. Like
Mhm.
it gutted me, especially whenever she gave that speech about being like, maybe I did think I wanted my brother to die, and now I
Mhm.
want to die. And even after all that, she's laying there in his arms. She's a kid, so she's scared. I don't want to
Yeah.
die. I'm scared. Having her say that, it was gut wrenching. It
'Cause you never
was.
think they're gonna do that to one of the kids.
Mm-mm.
And so I'm watching it and, like, it's building up and you're like, "Alright, she's gonna break it any second, gonna break it any second," and then her limbs start breaking, and I was like, "Oh, oh," and, like, I had a pillow and I was just kept holding it and staring at the computer because I didn't think that's what was happening. I was like, "There's no way. They always will come at the last second. None of the kids will ever, like, die."
Yeah. No, she didn't, but I think they probably should have let her because I'm not sure she is in a better situation. She is in a coma, for those who don't know.
Mhm,
And when Elle tried to go inside and see where she was, she can't even find her in her thoughts. Like her brain is completely shut down, pretty much.
mhm.
So it's very sad. I don't think that they would have kept her alive like that if they didn't have more planned for her. So I do see her
If
coming
they
back.
didn't intend her to make, like, a recovery.
Yeah. So they probably would have just killed her right there unless they really do want to just give us hope and take it away, which would be
Mhm.
awful. But these guys are better writers than that. It's been 4 seasons, and I honestly do think that this is some of the best writing I've ever witnessed. So I have faith that they are not fumbling it. Um,
I also am gonna say I did love the scene of 11 escaping and her and, like,
and
Papa dying, but also I don't know. I was always like, the whole season, I was really weirded out that 11 was so okay with being back, like, with him,
yeah,
and even was, like, kinda sad when he died, and I'm like, "Haven't we been running from this guy?" Like, I don't know. I guess to me, I feel like that Hopper's her dad, so, like, she shouldn't feel that
well,
paternal
maybe because
instinct
she
with
thought
him.
Hopper was dead, so maybe she was wanting to feel that.
But with him,
Who
you
knows?
know?
I think the other guy being there gave her comfort in being there.
Yeah, the
The
other
doctor that's
doctor.
not so bad.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll probably talk about more spoilers, but we're going to get into our top 5, okay? So we're going to start with number
This was
5.
really hard.
This was very easy for me, I'll just say.
I had a hard time. There are some honorable mentions that I have to say at the end because I feel like I'm doing them an injustice because they're not in my top 5, but I just love these 5 characters more.
That's how I feel. Okay, are you ready?
Yes.
3, 2, 1, number 5.
Who's easier to say? I can't read it. It's glared. Oh, 11.
Yeah. I didn't like 11 the first time I watched the show at all. I just thought she was
Mm-hmm.
annoying and weird. And I was just
Yeah, she
like,
has her quirks.
it's just every season's going to be set up for her to just come in and hold her hand up and save the day, blah blah blah. But when I
Mm-hmm.
rewatched it, there's definitely a lot more layers to her.
Mm-hmm.
Season 2 doesn't do her a lot of justice with that
No.
weird storyline they did where she went off and met number 8, and they never did that again because it was weird. You remember
Yeah,
that?
I didn't like that at all.
Yeah, they luckily they ditched that quick. But especially in season 4, her character arc of like actually being thrown into school in the real world and not adjusting because she is weird,
Mm-hmm.
and that was just so grounded to me. The last season really did it in. I do think she is badass and cool. I wish we'd had more time with her without her powers, because she's
Mm-hmm.
very reliant on them. And I think
Yeah,
it's
that's
cool.
pretty much like her whole character
Yeah,
thing.
but I think it would have been cool to see her become reliable on her own without her powers a little bit longer. But it's
Mm-hmm.
still, I mean, the way she got him back was super cool, especially whenever she had to go and get all those flashbacks and all that gruesome shit that happened. I think she's pretty cool. So she's my number 5.
See, I think 11, my favorite 11 was in season 3 when she's like hanging out with Max and all that because
Learning to be a kid.
it
Yeah.
was nice to have a storyline with her that didn't involve her powers or Mike because I feel like it's really easy for like a girl main character to kind of get wrapped around a boy, and like they kind of become
Mhm.
like synonymous with each other.
They definitely
And
have
so,
reversed roles in this show.
yeah, yeah. But
Definitely.
I like 11. She just makes some decisions that I don't really like, and that just makes her a good character, I think, because
Well,
like she's not
what
perfect. She's
decisions?
very flawed. Huh?
What decisions?
Just like, especially in season 3, like just she was kind of a brat,
Yeah.
and like I don't know, I still feel like she kind of abandoned everybody in this season. Like went with the doctor and like just kind of left everybody in the dark, and like I don't know, I feel like she could be very selfish like that, where she just kind of goes off on her own and does what she wants,
Yeah.
knowing that she's the only one that can save anybody.
Yeah, but she had to in the fourth season to go off and get her powers back to save people.
I know, but like season 2, like you said, her just running off to go
Yeah,
find.
that was weird. She was very selfish, and it was just it's kind of grounded watching back at it because it's just like somebody who's so dysfunctional and didn't have a childhood trying to go through puberty, that rebellious
Yeah.
age, like, and
Mm-hmm.
it is multiplied because she is just she doesn't know how to handle it. It's just
Mm-hmm.
pretty interesting to me. I just had a bit of a different take on her this time, but your character,
Yeah.
cannot believe she's at 5. What?
That was hard. She was, yeah, the ordering of my top 5 was really hard.
Yeah.
Joyce is the perfect mom character.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
She
she
is
does it
not
so
bad looking
well.
either.
She does it so well that, like, I know that if we went missing, that mom would have lights strung up on the wall
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
like, letters hung up. Like, she just does such a good job, and she's so convincing. And, like, she's one of the only characters I feel like that hasn't changed at all, like, in the show, and that's not a bad thing. Like, I feel like she didn't need as much, like, growth as everybody else, and it's kinda nice to have that consistency when, like, you have these kids who started out, like, 11, and now they're growing up, and so much of the show changes with that, and, like, she's just, like, a constant the whole time.
Yeah, it's actually really refreshing. And like you said, it's that mother hen kind of thing that's super
Mhm.
comfortable with her. That's all I'm going to say about her right now.
I love Joyce.
Absolutely.
She's a bad bitch.
Are you ready for number 4?
I'm ready for number 4.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Who's that say? Oh, I knew she would be on there.
Yeah.
She had to be.
So since we'll segue easier if I just talk about Joyce first. She is a bad bitch in more than one way, by the way.
Mhm.
Anyway, yeah, it's just like you said, she is just so unchanged and good. Like,
Mhm.
just a great character, loves her kids, will literally sacrifice her life in things that she does not understand. She went diving into the upside down, having no idea what it was, with no fear, just to
Mhm.
get Will back. And that is just an amazing parent. I was questioning about how she was so willing to just go to Russia and not tell the kids and just go and leave them alone, not having any idea something would happen. You know, it's her family.
Right.
So that was a little weird.
But I think she didn't want to give like 11 false hope. I don't think because they didn't know that that was Hopper for sure. They thought it could be a trap.
Yeah.
So I don't
So,
think she wanted to tell 11 that she was going to get Hopper back, and then they find out he's dead, or that that wasn't really him.
yeah.
So I think that's why she didn't tell him.
But she is an absolutely great character. Her best moment
Yes, she's
is
an
when
angel.
her and Hopper finally almost bang one out at the end. It was very rewarding to
good.
see that happen.
I cheered like it was a football game.
It was such a good payoff.
So good. It was well worth the wait.
It was good. It was good.
And I just love that she's not only a good mom to her kids, but she's like a good mom to everybody. Like she just takes 11 in, like that's her kid now. Like she needs a mom, and that's her
Yeah.
kid.
Yeah.
She's
All
just
right.
a good.
And she took 11 in because, Hop was gone. So, and now that he's back, they can be one big happy
They could
family.
be a beautiful family.
And that is if none of them die. There's no way season 5 kills Hop after doing the fake out with us.
There's no
They
way.
can't
If
do
they
it.
do, I'm going to revolt.
I will die. Okay, go on. You're Max.
Max was always was teetering between like her and Dustin for my favorite kid. Like in season 2 and 3, like I liked them both for different reasons. And then season 4 just made her skyrocket. And she is definitely my favorite kid. Like her storyline was so dark, but like very real.
Mm-hmm.
Like those are definitely like real emotions that you really don't see a lot from like kid characters.
No.
And it made her really relatable and like just so complex. And I love her so much.
She's cool. I like the whole skater vibe, especially whenever they first get introduced. How Billy, is that his name?
Yeah.
He's such an asshole, and
Yeah, he
she's such an
sucks so
asshole
much.
right back. It's like
Yeah.
he'll drop her off at the arcade. She'll just flip off the car on the way out. It's just like
Yeah.
they were both just such jerks to each other. It was so funny.
And it's like the opposite of Joyce, where she grew a lot, where like she didn't have any friends and she didn't want any friends, to her pretty much sacrificing herself for everybody. Like she had a really like just such a good character development, and like I just love her.
Absolutely. I like Max a lot. I like Max a lot. She's super cool. She's not on my list, but she's super cool.
I figured she wouldn't be.
Yeah. Probably an honorable mention though.
I bet I know the rest of your. I think I know the rest of your
Probably.
list.
My spoiler warning, most of the kids annoy me to death. Especially like they get better every season, but in season 1 all of them but one I hate. Like, they are all so whiny. They're so stupid. It's just they're awful. They're just so, especially Mike. Can we talk about Mike
Mike's
real
the
quick?
worst.
He is the only kid who somehow gets worse as the show goes
he gets
on.
Worse.
Like he goes
because I
from,
liked Mike in season 1.
he's a caring friend. He just cares so much about Will. Then he starts dating Elle, and he's just like, "Fuck you, Will."
An asshole.
It's like, I don't care about Dustin anymore. It's like he doesn't care about anyone but his dick.
And like they did the whole heart of the party thing, and I'm like, he hasn't been the heart of the party since the first season.
Well, to Will, he's the heart of the party.
Little baby Will.
Poor little guy.
I love that boy. I love that boy.
Poor little guy.
He's a sweet. I know. I feel so bad for him. I hope he finds someone in the end, though. I
hope they don't ride him to get with Mike, though. Because first of all, he deserves better than Mike. And second of all, it's just that's not where Mike's character's going. Mike has to.
And I feel like they've made it pretty obvious that Mike doesn't feel the same way.
Yeah.
That, like he doesn't have that preference. So I think that he'll find. Hopefully, I'm hoping he will find somebody.
What if they kill Mike? He needs to be involved in some like danger next season because he got out of a lot of shit this season.
He hasn't been in danger since like the first season.
I know.
I am gonna say.
Actually, that's not
really
super
random.
true. Season 2, he was
really
with Will
random.
on the play. Okay, sorry, go on.
Oh yeah, he was with Will in season 2. You're right.
Sorry.
Some of my favorite unimportant characters that are just there that don't do anything are Mike's parents. I fucking love his dad. He's
Our
hilarious.
kids live anywhere but here, didn't you hear? I really like what was the Russian's name in season 3 that really liked Icy's? Alexei. I liked Alexei. And what's the dude's name who speaks Russian from season?
Murray?
I love Murray.
I do love Murray.
Season 4, he is so good.
He's good.
I can't believe he
I love
agreed
how
to go
he's
to
always
Russia.
he's always trying to push the couples because he's the one who like talked about the sexual tension between like Nancy and Jonathan, and then he did the same thing with Joyce and Hopper. He's like, just pull over the road and bone each other.
So
I
good.
love him.
Let's move on to number 3. Ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, bam.
Dustin. What is it? Yep, I knew yours would be Dustin.
He is the only, besides Max and maybe Will. I still don't like Will that much. Because Will's character is basically only. This is the first season Will's had like an actual character. Other than just being scared and getting fucked over. Like, he's just been a damsel in distress until this. And even at the end of the season, he gets back in Hawkins. He's like, it's like, God.
I know. He had the little neck thing, and I was like, oh, son of a bitch.
I've enjoyed getting to know you, buddy. Poor kid. Dustin is the only bearable kid. And it's because Dustin is freaking hilarious. That kid has such a funny mouth on him, especially whenever he talks to Mike's dad, when he talks to Steve. His and Steve's relationship is so fun. Especially at the end of season 2 when he pulls up. Steve drops him off at the dance and he has his hair gel. It's so wholesome. He is such a good character. And have you noticed since like season 2, he has not been in the group with the kids? that much at all.
He never is.
He's always with Steve.
Yeah.
He's always with
Yeah.
Steve. Season 4, he got to be with Lucas, which Lucas was awful in season 4. Like, purely just terrible. Super bad.
Yeah.
And he was starting to get okay again. But Dustin is the only bearable one because he's the only one that, like, you know, he's kind of outgrowing the D&D thing. Will's kind of the only one who isn't. But at least Dustin still is like, well, they kind of joined that D&D club in high school, but you know what I get. Season 3 is mostly what I'm talking about. Dustin is still clinging onto that idea of friendship and that group. And he is not like growing up being like thinking with his dick and just trying to get with girls all the time. He's still just like, he has his girlfriend from across this nation, you know, Lil Susie. It is what it is. He is just a great character, and he needs to only be paired with Steve. He needs to not be traveling with anybody else because their relationship is hilarious and wholesome.
You know who else I like him like bantering with though is Erica.
Yeah, I love Erica.
They're hilarious. Like the season 3 group of like them, Robin and Steve is just perfect. Like they crack.
I'm glad since season 3 and season 4 doubled down on it, making Erica an actual main character that's there the whole time and has stuff to do. Because I was
she
really
was
afraid.
Almost in my top 5. She was an honorable mention.
I was really afraid
Erica.
they were just going to discard her.
Yeah.
I'm really glad they did that, though. She adds a lot to it. All right. And you said Robin.
Yes, I did.
Okay, go on.
I fucking love Robin. Robin is one of those characters that I love because she's so not what you normally see. Like, she's very neurodivergent. Like, very off the wall. Like, she kind of has that, like, when you first meet her, she's, like, tries to be cool and stuff, and you could tell it's kind of, after you find out that she's a lesbian, you could tell it's kind of like a front. Like, that's not who she's really is. Like, she just has
She's very ditzy
of,
and airheady.
Right. She has this front of, like, I don't care, I'm cool. And then once you get to know her, you realize she's ditzy, she's clumsy. She's very ADD. And it's just so lovable. Like, I feel like she represents a lot of groups in a very, very good way.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
she's a band kid.
Her coming out to Steve was just so emotional, and I loved it.
I felt bad for Steve, though, being able to open up to someone besides Nancy.
Mm-hmm.
Poor guy could not catch a break.
Like it's one of those things that I wanted so bad. Like, I wanted them to get together.
Yeah.
And then she comes out, and you're like, oh my God, I love this.
Well,
like,
I think it's better.
Because it's different.
Yeah, I think it's better that Steve has that friendship than the relationship. I think the friendship does more for him. Yeah.
I think so, too, because Steve's whole thing has always been, like, centered around girls, trying to get girls, trying to be popular, whatever. And then he has his best friend now who's a girl who is the complete opposite of that, who kind of shows him more of like what's important, and it's not about just being cool, getting girls or whatever, like opening yourself to different things. And I just think she's written so well. Like, she's a perfect mix of like comic relief, but also like she just is a very well written character.
Yeah, I love her. She's hilarious.
She just ever since literally the first episode, I was like, I love her. And like she's only gotten better and better and better.
I agree. I do. I loved her I liked her in the 3rd season a lot. I felt bad that she was thrown in, but the 4th season is really what did it. Like, keeping her in there. She's a member of the group. She's not trying to be someone she's not. She's being herself. Her and Nancy's banter was really funny to me because Nancy was just like, "You're so just shut. I don't think you're weird, but please stop talking." Because you can relate to Robin a lot. How she's like, am I bothering you? Am I annoying you? And you're like, God, if I had $1 for every time I wanted to ask people that, am I annoying you?
I think that's what it is too. It's not as often that you see like a neurodivergent character like her that has like that social anxiety and just like a blubbering. She just rambles, and like that's something I actually like relate to very, very deeply.
Yeah,
so. I think she just is a good like. I think like a lot of people can see themselves in her. And she's not written to be like the comic relief character, because a lot of characters who have that kind of like quirkiness to them are usually like the butt of a joke.
Yeah.
And I feel like she's not written to be that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. She's not on the list, but I like her.
And that's another reason I don't really fuck with Nancy that much, is because she was, I don't know, like their banter was funny, but I also thought Nancy was like a bitch.
She always is.
I know.
That's just her thing.
Like, get out of your own ass.
And leave her alone. Ready for number 2?
I bet I would bet $100 that ours are the same but flipped.
I don't think so. I think they're the same exactly.
I don't think they're the same.
3, 2, 1. Yep, I told you they're the same.
Steve isn't your number one?
So Steve is my favorite character, but I cannot objectively say he's the best character. I can't do it.
Because I really was like, Steve's your number one for sure.
I have tied favorite character. I have 2 favorite characters, but I have to pick the better character for number 1. But Steve is the best written character in this show, hands down. For someone they plan to kill off in season 1, he is the best written. His character arc from going from somebody who's so self-centered, but even when then it's like dating Nancy was starting to pull him out of that. He was already like, even when his friends were being just absolute pricks, he was still kind of like awkward to it. I mean, he was laughing and being a prick too, but you could tell he's feeling a little weird about it. His growth from being that self-centered prick, the ladies' man, only wanting to be popular, and he graduates and he realizes, holy crap, all these people I made fun of are going places. I'm working in an ice cream shop with this girl I don't know. This girl I don't know is my best friend now. Working in an ice cream shop was the best thing that ever happened to me. Now working in a movie shop with my best friend. He's realizing the small things matter, and he's like getting out of his head. Dustin helped him grow. It's just watching how he's grown and the balls on this guy to throw himself.
He really just charges in.
He charges in without having any. The first season when he's like, "What the hell is that?" The Demogorgon. He starts running away. He comes back in for Nancy, full well knowing that she has a thing for Jonathan now. Jonathan beat the shit out of him. He has no right to try to protect somebody who is a dick and somebody who left him, but he did it anyway because he's Steve, and that's what Steve Harrington does. And
okay, so when I first watched the show, I remember being like, we don't like Steve that much season 1. I rewatched it before the 4th season, and he really wasn't that, like, I feel like they tried to portray him as like the big douche or whatever, and then like Jonathan's a good guy and he's the bad guy. But really, Steve was pretty justified in almost everything he did, except
the only thing was making fun of Will there before he got his ass kicked.
Right, but and like letting his friends like spray paint that Nancy's a slut on like stuff. Yeah. But he wasn't the one who did that. You know what I mean? Like, I think he was caught up like. I mean,
Will was freaking taking pictures of Nancy changing. How does no one talk about how fucked up that is? Sure, it is fucked up that Steve said you probably shouldn't have gone and killed your brother and stuff, which was fucked up. You're a teenager. You're a teenager who just had your girlfriend, this creep, take pictures of your girlfriend changing, and then go and be caught in bed with that girlfriend. You're a teenager. You don't need more context. You trying to go say hi to your girlfriend. Everyone back then snuck in trees and knock on the window and come in. You see her, which is creepy nowadays, but I mean, it's the freaking not 80s. Everyone did that.
80s, yeah.
You know, it's boombox, whatever. You see them in bed. There's no. He's a teenager. He's mad. He got emotionally said that. Was it bad? Yeah. He got the shit beat out of him. I still cringe at that. I still wish he'd beat the shit out of Jonathan. But Jonathan is awful in season 1. Sure, he's going through a lot of trauma, but he is just taking the pictures. It's just honestly hitting on a girl with a boyfriend. It sucks. I don't like Jonathan. He is my second least favorite character. I do not like him.
See, I'm not gonna do the Jonathan slander, but I feel like Steve got a bad rap when he didn't deserve it. And like think about your first, like everyone's like first love like drives you crazy. Like we both had our first loves in high school. And
yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and like think about when that ended, how crazy we both were.
I slept on your couch for a week.
Yeah,
and didn't go to class and failed the semester.
So Steve's reaction's pretty like
relatable,
on point, and it's easy for people like being like, "Oh, you're a jerk," but like I know that I was a psychopath whenever the love of my life, my first love in high school, broke up with me. So,
yeah.
Like, you can't really fault him. You know what I mean?
And even then, even after all of that, which is questionable, he did a bad thing. Jonathan did a bad thing. Even after all that, he still tried to save their lives from a thing that he had no idea, like a Demogorgon. He hadn't been studying them. He didn't know what the hell that thing was. And he ran in and hit it with a bat with nails. He didn't care.
And he also, like, he was just going to Nancy's house to give her flowers, and Dustin's like, we're gonna go trap this baby Demogorgon. Get
in
your
season
gloves.
2.
We're gonna just drop meat on this railroad track together. And he's like,
I
let's
love
do
it.
it.
He's just a good guy. He helps people, and it's like in second season 1, he has that mentality like I'm the douche, but it's just like his brain is pushing him to help people before he can even think about it. And by season 4, he's just a full-fleshed great guy, confessing his love to Nancy. Which I don't know if I really want him to be with Nancy. I think he deserves way more, but if he loves her that much, I root for it. I really do. But it's up to her, I guess. But she's not the best. She's not the best written character.
I have very mixed feelings about the Nancy Steve thing. Because I feel like Nancy did the same thing with Jonathan the first season, where she's like with Steve, but like flirting with Jonathan. And now it's flipped, and she's with Jonathan and flirting with Steve. And I'm just like, I'm not here for it. But I also think Steve deserves better because he's amazing.
I don't think that she'll end with either one of them.
I'm really worried that Steve will perish.
That is a big thing. I don't think it's as likely as people say it is. Unless it's like a last episode of the series sacrifice kind of thing. But
I literally texted you as soon as you said that you finished it and was like, "Is Steve okay?"
I said he is.
I needed to know before going in. I was still distraught.
I do think the final season will bring a death of a kid or a teenager. Yeah, and if a kid dies, I think it's going to be Mike. And if a teenager dies, actually, it might be 11. Who knows? I
think it'll be 11.
Yeah, and if a teenager dies, everyone thinks it's going to be Steve. I think it might be Nancy. I think they're going to push for the heroic deaths to happen. And when you think about the heroic people, the heroic person in the teenage group is Nancy. She is always the one being a badass shooting. 11's always the one saving the day. And Hop is the adult badass, and they've already done the whole Hop is dead thing.
See, I could just see... Like, if they're getting rid of everything in the Upside Down, 11 has a weird connection to the Upside Down. I think that'll take her out, too.
I think she's going to have to take herself out to take out 1.
Yeah. And I think if they're doing this love triangle thing of Steve, Nancy, and Jonathan, I think one of the boys will be the hero and, like, sacrifice himself and, like, take that choice out of her hands. I really do. And that leans more toward it being Steve than Jonathan, but I could also see it being Jonathan. See, I don't Jonathan's really... protective of like his brother, his mom.
I think if a teenager dies, it's going to be less heroic and more shocking. Kind of like a Buffy the Vampire Slayer death, where hardly any of them are heroic. It's just like, oh, we're fine. I'm cut in half.
If it's Robin, I'm going to rage.
See, she doesn't deserve. Honestly, the way the show goes, Robin has death written on her more than anybody, because the way the show goes is the characters who are introduced past season 1 have been the ones to die. Billy's dead. Max is kind of dead. Eddie's dead.
Bob? Was that his name? Bob?
Oh my God, that was so sad the first time I saw it.
R.I.P.
He's such a good guy.
Have you heard all of the voices on, like, the voiceovers on TikTok of like the Chris? Wake up.
I don't like this. Chrissy, wait. I do kind of wish Eddie had lived on a little more, because I would have liked to see a little more Eddie. But, you know, you're right. He had nothing.
I really wish Chrissy would have lived. Like, Chrissy
I liked Chrissy a lot. I loved Chrissy. And she died that first. I did not like that little nerdy guy with Nancy, though.
No, yeah.
He reminded me so much of the little nerd that followed around the teacher in recess.
Yeah. But like Chrissy, I was like, I wish you would have hung around.
Yeah, she'd have been a great cast member. Anyway, shout us out. Sib Gib Podcast on every platform.
Sib Gib Podcast on everything. That's SIBGIB on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Patreon. I think that's it.
Soloist
Hopefully
TV
soon we can get our older brother to get his ass in gear so that we can get on Spotify. Because he's been telling me he's been doing that forever and hasn't done it. So.
Heard it here first, folks. Soloist TV on everything. Mostly Twitch and YouTube. YouTube is just Soloist. So subscribe and follow. Also,
our individual accounts are tagged in all of our SibGib bios.
They are. They sure are. So follow us.
You don't want to. You probably don't want to follow my Twitter, but if you do.
Yeah, just follow it. It's fun. Fun time.
Follow it.
It's a fun time. Anyway, our number 1 is the same as every other Stranger Things viewers. Number 1. Number 1's Hopper.
I didn't even write it down. It's Hopper.
Number 1's Hopper.
Didn't even write it down.
if you've watched this
He's
show,
the best fucking character in television.
he is the best character in television. If you have watched this show, even if you don't like him the best, you cannot tell me there's a better. I know I just said Steve's the best written character. You cannot tell me there's a better written character than Hop. There's not.
It's
Hop is the best
perfect.
character.
He has such like obvious faults, and like you could see him trying to like work through those, and like he is such a tragic backstory.
Yeah. Oh,
And
yeah.
it's just like he is another one that has grown so much. Like if you look at him in season 1 and how much having 11 come into his life has changed him, like as far as his alcoholism, his drug
Oh, I
use, like,
know.
and
He
there will
finally got his
never
daughter.
be, huh?
He finally got his daughter.
Oh, I know. There will never be a scene in television that will make me cry as hard as 11 reading that letter at the end of season 3.
Oh, it's
I
tragic.
I thought when I rewatched it, I would have been calloused enough because I knew what was happening, and I cried just as hard.
Knowing
Like,
he's okay.
I'm talking tears. I know, knowing he's alive, but tears just flowing from my face.
And the end of season 4, when he just walks in the room and goes, "Hey, kid," and she goes, "Hey," it's like, oh my god.
She's like, "I stole your look," because he's been like starving in a prison and his head's shaved.
Yeah.
He's like, "I stole your look. I hope
It's
you don't
straight up
mind."
goosebumps. He's just.
Oh,
He is
so
he is a
good.
person who wanted to be a dad, had that taken away from him in a tragic way, fell to alcoholism and drugs, and got thrown right back into being a dad, whether he liked it or not, at the time he needed it the most, when he didn't
Well,
want
he
it
kind of
anymore.
chose it. He kind of chose that though because he left the waffles in the woods for her.
Yeah, but he did
So
that.
he made that. It's not like that. This was forced upon him. He made that conscious decision to like reach out to her.
You could say that back and forth, but it's like if he didn't make that decision, what would have happened to her? She would have gotten killed and found. So it's kind of like, who else is going to do this? Who else is going to be able to keep her safe and away from people? And it's like he made the decision, but he made the decision because who else is going to make the decision? Anyone else is going to turn her in.
They didn't know that she was alive either.
Good point.
They didn't know she was alive, so he left the waffles in there to see if she was alive.
Oops.
And then when she was like that, at that point, like what decision can you make but to take her in? But like he could have just assumed she was dead like everybody else.
Yeah. And his character arc with her is amazing. His character arc getting with Joyce is amazing. They have the best relationship in cinema history. I don't care what anyone says. Stranger Things is a show very much about the kids, but the teenagers are the heart of the show, but the adults steal the show.
Adults steal the show.
The adult arcs are always the best arcs in the show.
Mm-hmm.
Always. They are, season 4 especially. Season 4 had a lot of crazy crap going on. Vecna was truly a terrifying villain. The Russia stuff was still the best arc. Just the best storytelling, the best humor. It was just great. Season 3. Everything that happened with Hop between 11. He had that kind of like fat Hawaiian shirt dad vibe going on. It was just like he had let himself go, but he still got back into getting his ass kicked by that Russian dude over and over until he finally like shoved him into a grinder. It was so gross. Still, they always have the best arcs. He is like a fat Rambo. He is just a badass. He's funny. He's charming. He's just so great. And he's not perfect, and that's the thing.
No.
And when he's not perfect, he always finds a way. He's either like makes it right, or like in the case of season 2, whenever Mike finds out he's been hiding Elle and Mike's yelling at him, he's basically like, "Listen, you're a kid, you don't understand. I don't give a shit if you're mad." It's basically what he said.
Literally.
And he's like, "I don't care if you're mad." Like he took him aside, and even then, like Mike started punching him, and if a kid started punching me crying, I would be mad because kids are annoying. But he let him, and he held him because he knew he was just overwhelmed with emotions. He is just he's such a well-grounded character, and he steals the show. If you like Stranger Things, it's probably because of Hop.
If Hopper wasn't in the show, I don't think I would like Stranger Things. Like, not that I wouldn't like it, but it would not be the same show.
It wouldn't. Absolutely. He is the heart of the show. Steve is just like the character you root for, the character you feel like is like the main character almost. Like, he goes through the motions, he grows a lot, he changes, he becomes somebody you love. Hopper grows and changes, but he starts as someone you love. And he is just always the person he is the heart of the party, not Mike.
And I feel like Steve's like the person you like to watch. Like he's funny. Like he has that little like the back and forth with so many characters. Like he's fun to watch, and that's why you like Steve. But like Hopper, just you love him in such a different way, almost like he's a part of your family.
Yes.
Like he I feel like has such a strong connection with the audience that is really hard for when you're especially when you're not the main character. Like the show feels like that he should be the main character, not 11.
Is there really a main character though? I feel like there's really with Stranger Things because every season has 3 arcs. So I almost feel like there's 3 main characters because every arc is always kind of like it's always kind of a kid, teenager, adult arc, right?
Mm-hmm.
It almost feels like there's a main character centered on all those arcs. So like 11, Nancy, and Hop. Or Joyce, I guess you could say Joyce. No, it's Hop.
Yeah.
It's probably Hop.
I just feel like, I mean, when you look at advertising and stuff, like
it's definitely
always the
11.
kids.
It's definitely 11.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, but he's just the best. I mean, every character in the show has a relationship directly with him.
Mm-hmm. I could go on and on about Hopper because he's
like
just
I could watch the show right now just because I know I get to see Hopper.
Mm-hmm.
He's the best character. He's funny, he's badass, he's cool, he's heartfelt, he cares for people. He's the protector, man. And the end of the season, when he sword fights a Demogorgon, I have never seen anything more badass than that in my life. He literally shoots the thing and he's like going full. He's like, you know what? They starved me here. I am ripped as a demigod now. Picks up a sword and he's like, let's dance, buddy. And just destroys it.
It's also funny being like 27 and watching this because you're at that weird, like, you're not a teen. Like, obviously, like, most people be like, oh, Steve is so hot. Jonathan is so hot. From the beginning, I have sibbed so hard for Hopper. That
I have been the same way with Joyce.
I'm just like, I want Dada.
I have been the same. Like, I started watching the show when I was younger. And I was like, Nancy's cute. And then you see Joyce and you're like, oh, mama.
Mama.
Oh, mama.
Yeah.
It's just, oh, yeah, I completely agree. And then Murray walks in and you're like,
oh my God. Murray, I honestly didn't think about him for my list, and he wouldn't have made my top 5.
Him and Max are honorable mentions for me.
For me, it's Dustin. Like, I kind of felt bad Dustin wasn't on my list, but like, I can't say I like him better than Joyce. I can't say I like him better than Max. And Erica. I love Erica.
Erica's great. I like those two. Murray was one of those characters that I did not care for at first. But like the 3rd season and the last season, like when Joyce shows up and she's like, this is from Hop. He's in Russia. We're going to go get him. He's like, I'm a black belt now. I've sparred against 16-year-olds. Let's go. And you're like, Murray, you're such an idiot. And then he beats the shit out of that dude. And you're like, oh my God.
And his friendship with Joyce cracks me up.
Oh, I love it. His friendship with Hop cracked. I really thought he would die. I thought he was dead this season. I feel
like Murray is a character that they could very easily kill.
Like they were doing that thing after he shot the flamethrower on him and he was doing that celebration. Like, yeah, I thought he'd get shot in between the eyes as soon as he was doing that. Kind of like how Bob got out and was looking at Joyce and they got tackled. I thought he'd get shot between the eyes. Or get tackled by a Demogorgon. I really thought he was done for. I did expect season 4 to kill more than 2 characters though. I mean, I guess they killed a lot of characters, just like that basketball player that was hunting them down. Fuck him.
Fuck all the basketball
God,
players.
They pissed me off. One of them got their ass kicked by Erica, which was really funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was hilarious. Erica's a badass. Anyway, this has been our longest episode in a while.
Yeah.
But I will say
I've missed Sib Jib.
We have missed Sib Jib. But I will say, so if you've not watched Stranger Things, you're doing yourself a disservice. It's funny, it's action-packed. It is one of the best things I've watched in a long time. I mean, this comes from somebody who watched and fell in love with One Piece and just nothing else was hitting it for him. Stranger Things is good. Go watch it. You can't compare anime to Stranger Things, but like, you need to just go watch it. It's good. They're different things. Any final thoughts?
Nope. I agree with what you said. Stranger Things is by far the best Netflix original show, and like
Oh,
a lot of
yeah.
people rave on Netflix original shows. Not that they're bad, like some of them are really good, but Stranger Things is definitely top, like the best one that there is.
Easy.
So if you're
And,
gonna watch a Netflix original, it has to be Stranger Things.
and there's no like eye-rolly themes in this show either. Like a lot of people give cringy credit to Netflix for having like the same like progressive pushing things upon you. Stranger Things doesn't have any of that. Stranger Things is just a good story. You know what I mean?
The very well written characters.
No political agendas being pushed on you. Nothing like that. It's very well written characters. Arcs make sense. What characters grow into are what they were intended to grow into since the first episode, and it's just fantastic. It's freaking fantastic. All right, my hair has gotten considerably more greasy since we started, so that's Sib Jib. Gotta do it. No, I gotta see a real one. I mean, Jib, I see him. My neighbors are staring at me out the window. Oh, we got a guest. Hang on a minute.
It's the boy!
Hang on a minute. Come here. Come on.
It's the boy!
Do you see him?
Yes.
I gotta get him
Hi,
on the...
Bubba's.
I gotta get him on the big camera. Say
Hi,
bye.
Bubba's.
Say bye.
I love that boy.
You see Sissy? You see
It's a
Sissy?
good boy.
Wave. Oh. All right. That's been Sib Jib. Salute, Fred.
Oodle.
We'll see you next time.